Yo, what's up guys? I know I've been slacking like crazy on my uploads, but let me know in the comment section what type of content you guys would be interested in seeing on my channel. That will help me a lot. So this video is going to be a highlight from a recent coaching session I did over on my Twitch channel. Twitch TV/ShulkN. Yep, shameless plug. Anyway, since most of you guys came from Kobe's channel, I thought this would be a pretty fitting video to post as first video. But let me know if you guys like this or not. And if any of you are interested in any personal coaching, the link to my coaching gig is listed in the description below. And that's enough shameless plugs for a 1-minute intro. So let's get over to the video. Right, so before we start, could you just kind of try to tell me what you feel like you are good at compared to what you're bad at, maybe, with your whole skill set?
So I guess the one thing I think that is my strongest point is probably for sure my aiming. I feel like, I mean, there's obviously some consistency that needs to be built there, but I feel like my aiming is definitely my strongest point. I feel like my personal positioning is okay, to be honest, but some other things is like my team positioning he's working on. I've always kind of I played with other people, but I've never like played with other people at a high level to a point where we can compete against higher level players and win a lot more. I feel like my close range is better than my long range, for sure. Basically every single game, R9 Mastiff, or yeah, pretty much R9 Mastiff is the two weapons that I always pick up. That's like my ideal loadout.
Okay, so you can actually maybe say with your aim as well, it's aim in close range?
Yes, yeah. I also feel like my movement is good as well. It's like my actual mechanical skill is definitely above every other aspect of my game.
So do you feel like you're implementing your movement in a good way in your gameplay?
It's not too bad. I obviously know how to do all of the movement tech, but whether I implement it in the most efficient way possible, it's a little bit different.
I would say like high-end movement is, if you're just looking for like pure performance, movement isn't that much in the aspect. It's flashy and cool and everything like that, but it's very limited to actually giving you an advantage in a fight, right? Which is one of the main reasons why I don't really teach movement in my coaching, because it's such a high-end thing that you need to invest so much time into it to even get any value out of it. There's so many other aspects that you should be optimizing before movement, to say it like that. The only movement that you really need is like strafing movement. How good is your strafing movement? Because that's the only type of movement that truly matters in terms of making you harder to hit.
I think there's a lot of room for improvement in my strafing.
You can say, yeah, your high-end movement is good, but your strafe could be better. So we're putting it as a bad point, but that doesn't mean that it's like shit, right? It just means that it's lacking a bit in terms of your other skill aspects, which is good. It's always good to hear what you feel like you are good and bad at, and then work from that point on out, because then I can see what I feel and we see how we compare up. I explain what I feel about your overall skill set. So this is just some key points. It's fine to not have like a full list right here. But what we'll do, we'll go through this list right here, use as almost like a checklist for you to understand what is your weakest point of play consistently when you take a fight. And the way this is kind of set up, it's 4 points. And then it goes into the more advanced version of them. So this list you can use from the literal start of like starting Apex till the literal top 0.1%. Even the top players does not do this list here consistently at like perfect, to say it like that. Just like an endless optimization tool, basically. Which is good. It's good to have that, because then you always have something to work on. You are probably doing all of this fairly consistent, but we'll check first, and we'll see how you match up to this list. We'll see how you take positions, if you even take positions at all, how good you are at optimizing your position in terms of this aspect right here. But in terms of for the chat and all that, we break down this so they can follow as well. So it starts off with position. position goes into giving you cover. And then we have two different types of cover. You have vertical covers and horizontal covers. That means horizontal and vertical. For the most part, as I'm saying right there, generally used on box covers and high grounds. Use vertical cover on typical box covers. Because then you use the side of the box, right?
Yeah.
So depending on what type of cover we have, we should be achieving different kind of effects from that cover. So our first thing is to like get into position, getting some type of cover, then figure out what type of cover are we working with. Okay, we're working with a vertical cover right now, so our job is to zone people out and force a 1v1. Zoning people out means basically what this picture shows right here. Zone the enemies out. These guys cannot see us, and we're forcing a 1v1 versus the guy that we want to be shooting at. That is the main objective when using a vertical cover. But that's easier said than done, because to actually enable this position right here, you need proper sound play, you need visual play, you need spatial awareness, right? Because your position is relative to where your enemies are. That's the optimization of a vertical cover. Your only job is to basically zone people out and force a 1v1. If you're doing that, then you're playing a vertical cover pretty optimally. Then we have horizontal, which in most cases are used for high grounds like this. So then your cover becomes this ledge here, right? Which is a line in front of you, which then it becomes horizontal. So our job here on horizontals is to head glitch. It's very important to build like a very you should know when you're doing it, right? You should know when it's exactly happening. Right, so when we're standing on this specific position right here, our line of sight will always hit the ledge, right? Which is our cover. So what you're looking at is that you want to push this line that you have in front of you up to your enemy's feet as closely as possible. So that means if you have this line right here, which is your this is your perspective from this angle, and you're gonna have the guy here, right? So if you're looking from this perspective, your line is gonna be right here. This is your ground. So you don't want any space between him. You don't want this. You don't want to see the ground in front of him and then have him in the middle, which is the usual kind of misplay from people, that it's so comfortable to have him in the middle of your screen. Because when you're having him as tightly as possible into your cover, you will achieve this. You see his full hitbox, because your line of sight stops right in front of his feet, which means you will see his whole hitbox, and he will see basically just your head, which is why it's called a head glitch. Put this horizontal ledge as close up to their feet as possible. When you have no gap between the cover and your guy, then you know that you're head glitching to a pretty optimized way. This whole process from going from here to here should be like as minimal as possible, right?
Yeah.
To have as little punish room as possible and to be as effective as possible. Or even this point, right? Doesn't matter. Both of the points should be achieved as quickly as possible. Then we can move over to your strafe. So strafing in this example means just moving while shooting. First point is moving while shooting. Then we have the more optimal way of moving while shooting is moving horizontal, which means left and right movements only. Since your mouse and keyboard, it's very easy to just isolate that to A and D. So if our strafe were to just reach this point in terms of optimization, it will probably look like this, right?
Yep.
It's just left and right movement. It's good left and right movement, but a good player will definitely punish you on the predictableness on this. So if we're implementing the unpredictable factor at the same time, it looks more like this, right?
Yep.
Which is very important, because this fucks up so many elements of like predictableness and easy to hit, because you're implementing so many reaction time points on this strafe right here. Because when you come into the end of a strafe, they need to implement a reaction, right? React. So the more point of reaction you can implement into your strafe, almost the better. I'm not saying that you should be doing like this, because then they just shoot in literally one direction and hit all of their shots, right? So you need a balance. You need a balance between not strafing too wide and not strafing too tight. So you need to find a medium ground of like just changing it up and making it inconsistent and hard to hit on this basis right here. You seem very high end in your strafe. You are even able to like fetch in a lot of crouching and everything. So yeah, that is, I'm expecting that to be pretty high tier when you watch your recordings. Like from what I can expect your main problem to be, I would say, as you're saying right here in your cons, I would say your positional play is most likely going to be your main downfall in your gameplay. So then we can go over to your gun control. So gun control goes into how good you are at controlling your recoil. You can actually like add a different element here, which is like burst fire versus full spraying. If you should be burst firing or if you should be full spraying, that depends on your weapon. But if you should be burst firing or full spraying is definitely something you should be aware of. Should I be burst firing here? Should I be full spraying? That is always being optimized in that factor is super important. And then we have right weapon to the right situation. If you're playing an SMG shotgun, what is our range of play with that weapon loadout?
I guess short to medium depending on the weapon. Depending on the specific weapon, but probably short.
Yeah, that is like medium short range, right?
Yeah.
If you take assault rifle and sniper, then our play area changes drastically. So that's what goes into the right weapon to the right situation, or right position, rather. So it's important to understand what weapon we have in terms of where we should position ourselves to make our weapons as effective as possible. And then we have the right use of ADS. So what goes into that is that the different weapons has different strafing speeds. Main goal of a good strafe, or being hard to hit rather, if you have no position, is to at least strafe with one of these weapons right here. When you get into a higher level of play, you will get punished to the living shit if you try to shoot in open range, like medium close range, with these weapons right here. That movement speed matters a ton. I usually categorize these weapons here as basically dueling weapons. Because these weapons, you're allowed to have the focus fire back at you. But you're not really allowed to do that if you're getting focused back and you're standing in an open area and you spray with a slow moving weapon. If you're just playing to improve, playing around these weapons right here helps you a ton. Because when you're playing public games and all of this, you're gonna have the focus back at you, right?
Yep.
So therefore you want to have that defensive of being able to strafe while you can shoot back at the same time and being accurate with the bullets. And the only way to do that is actually to implement one of these weapons. If you're misplaying those consistently in your public games, with the ADS I'm talking about here, that will definitely be your #1 death factor. Just misplaying the ADS of your weapon is a huge drawback in your defensive. If you're super covered out and you have a head glitch, of course you're allowed to ADS with your assault rifle, because then your movement doesn't matter that much, because then your hitbox is so limited in the first place. But being aware of this and always being aware of how easy I am to hit, depending on how quickly I move, is super important to have in the back of your mind. Let's take a slow moving weapon. We can take up a hemlock, right? Tip a hemlock, stack it out however you want it. Okay, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Right, just stand over there. So right now I'm gonna strafe with the hemlock, and you can see how easy I am to hit.
Yep. Do you want me to shoot you?
Pretty. I mean, you can try to shoot you. You're gonna hit most of the shots anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So hitting these shots is very easy, just based upon my movement speed. This is why it's so important to not play these weapons in close range. And now I can ADS with, or strafe with my R9.
Yeah, so much harder.
Yeah, take the both. Do the hemlock again so you can see the direct comparison. Yeah, that is a huge difference. So much more easier to hit. A lot easier to hit slow moving weapons. You saw how easy you were beaming me the first time, and now you can see how hard I am to hit if I were to implement a head glitch. So right here, our cover is horizontal, right? So therefore I should be head glitching. We know that.
Yep.
And how do I head glitch? I put this line up to close as its hitbox as possible, like this. Now you can try to hit me.
Yeah, it's so much harder.
Playing here in comparison to here is Massive difference, right? So if you can stand there and you can see the difference between, just stand on the edge first, so you can see like, you're seeing your whole hitbox, right? It's very easy to, now it's an even fight, but you can make it so much more uneven if you were to optimize the head glitch use here. That is a totally different world of hitting. Then you can just hit your crouch for like reloads and everything, and then it's borderline impossible to kill you. Like right here, on paper, you have lost the fight by a mile just by playing position. You can put this target here. To aim at the hips right here. Or like having the line, the horizontal line at the hips. Aiming like this feels very uncomfortable to have this kind of blocking your vision, right? But it gives you such a huge advantage. Being able to shoot like this.
Realizing what they can see.
Yeah. Like since we're so close range here, we're putting it up to the hips, because we don't need to shoot the legs. You just want to see what you want to shoot, basically. That is the main goal here. So we can take it to a bit more drastic position. This is a usual high ground, right? If you just stand on top here. So right now I'm putting the ledge up to your your knees.
It's basically impossible for me to hit you.
Yeah, and I see everything. And I can just crouch for reloads and heal. If you want to push in, I can just punish the living shit out of you. So you can see how that looks for him, if he were to play that perfectly. So you just put that line up to my knees or something. Yeah, so that is what he sees from this position. And that is, if you're going to control your spray, you need pinpoint perfect spray to even be able to hit this, right?
Yep.
So you need top tier spray control and top tier aim to even be able to hit him at this point.
This is insane with a handblock.
Yeah. Like peeking up and down right there, that there's no chance. Like I cannot kill that. It's impossible.
It's nice to know the 100% optimized way to do that.
If you're standing right here, it's very different if I do this, if you just stand still. If I do this, or if I do this. Like this is a massive difference from your perspective. So
you're aiming for the chest anyway, so like I don't care if I don't see your feet.
Yeah. We don't need to see the feet, because we're not gonna shoot them. Doesn't matter if you're playing like a vertical. If I'm playing like on this, if this is a here, I always want to keep this here as close to you as possible, because then I have the shortest way possible into the cover of like reloading. So if I'm gonna shoot you and then I reload instantly behind, I can peek out again. Do not shoot the targets. I know you want to. So yeah, building that into your mindset of like, always when I peek, I should be having the cover that I'm peeking from as tightly as possible into the guy that I'm shooting at. That will by default eliminate that mindset of knowing where the other guys are. If we're by default taking these positions, playing cover, we have the enemies in front of us, and we only peek till the point where we see that one guy, we're golden, right?
Yeah.
Of course, the optimized way is knowing where exactly these guys are, to know if I need to stop peeking him, and if this guy's coming up here, to start peeking him, right?
Yep.
But just knowing that if you just peek from that point, and you only expose yourself with this guy, then you're reaching like 80% of it. Last percentage is mostly in the awareness part of knowing where these are exactly, to defend yourself from them from like upcoming peeking angles or something. So then we can see how effectively you are implementing these strategies into your positional play.
I tried to put the first clip, like the first point of the clip, as close to a fire as possible, but it might not be.
Yeah, might be some downtime, that's fine. You see like right here, instantly, we see like just the optimization use of what we have, because we need to, okay, categorize our position. We're using this as our cover. Then what type of cover is this?
This horizontal.
Yeah, so then we should be...
I guess it's both in this situation. But...
Yeah, but we're using it this way. We're using this part of it. We're not using the side. If we were using the side, then it would have been vertical, right? But since we're using the top of it to cover ourselves, we should be having this as tight up to the guy that we're shooting at. So this line right here should be moving closer to it to have the guy right above it. Then you're borderline impossible to hit. I mean, that is just a small thing, but that goes into just fetching perfect positional play into your whole gameplay. So even though we're fighting from a low ground right now, we can still head glitch because we have this type of cover. So now we're using the vertical side, which is like, I would categorize this as slightly over peaking, right? Because we have this, and as we were talking about, we want this as close as possible to the enemy, to just have the minimal of like zoning potential people that are here out, to only be shooting this guy. Because right now you are allowing people to shoot you from all of this, when you can potentially. Yeah. We're still super tight to it, but this is like just like the very high-end optimization of it. You see that we still stick very good to the cover. You're playing cover good, very good. We're zoning people out with this, but not like perfectly. This, again, should be optimized like this. Yep. That means moving a little bit to the left, so we have the cover right there. That would have been perfect. Nice. The way that you were peeking, you were denying most of their angles at many times. Optimally here, I would honestly like to see the way that you play Wraith should be more of a flanking angle.
Yeah.
Definitely if you had Portal. I saw that you didn't have Portal here, so... But if you had a Portal, I would definitely pop it here and try to make an off angle here to shoot from this side and let your teammate shoot from this side. Because then you deny these types of cover, right? If you were to... If the team is here, and then you have your cover right here. Let's see, like this, maybe. If you were able to get your way over here, then you can deny their cover. If they're playing on this cover or something. If you're peeking this side, and your teammate is peeking this side, he has this line of sight, and you have that line of sight, then you totally deny their cover just by that flank. So by playing kind of flanking angles as Wraith is very important when you play as a team. So that's also one of those points that you mentioned as your cons, like position in terms of your team. Which we see it right here, but we'll see how consistent it is. Like overall, your positional play is good right here, but to see the high-end optimization of it, could see some improvement.
I guess that's the sort of thing that can turn a fight that's leaving the enemy on 1 HP to a fight where I win.
Yeah, or even dominating this fight very quickly. Just denying them and seeing the opportunities that you have instantly. Of course, this goes into your decision making as well, of seeing those opportunities. But definitely as Wraith, you should have that mindset of, am I able to take a flanking position that doesn't kill my teammates? Because like there's a very fine balance between you taking... It takes you time to move over here, right? And then if this team sees that and they just fucking W-key the team, you might lose on that point, right? So knowing the perfect timing of making this push is also crucial. So timing is extremely crucial when you're making your push as a Wraith.
You know what, I'm just going to explain why I play ranked, like over pubs right now. So I play ranked because for me, my base fundamental gameplay is already at a decent point where only slight adjustments are gonna, or slight improvements are gonna get me to a higher level in terms of, you know, the fundamentals that you mentioned.
Yeah, I would definitely say that you're in the aspect of just finding the right team. You're executing your fundamentals at a very high level right here. You are playing positions to a very high degree. I've seen your strafing movement is very high end. You're hitting crucial shots. It's mostly in the aspect of just finding the right teammates, having like a team that you know, perfect synergy, that you know you're making one push when you... I don't know, for those people who played Overwatch, if you played the dive meta or goats, if you were just able to synchronize your push, you basically win. You could bypass so many like fundamentals, flaws and everything just by making a synchronized push as a team. So yeah, having the synchronized mindset is extremely important when it comes to high level of play. And that is your next step, honestly. Finding those teammates that knows how you play and they know how you play. And you're effectively playing every character, if that makes sense.
Yep.
If you are playing Wraith, they are playing Wraith. Does that make sense? They can call out your portal, they can call out if they want you to Q, you can call out if you want bubble, if you want Gibby ultimate, if you want EMP, whatever. That is how a full team should synergize. If you only play your character, then you're missing out so much of the potential of your whole team.
Yep, makes sense.
your level of play is so high that you're stepping into those aspects right there. You need a team to reach the next step. Get into a fight again, we get the scan, pick him, that guy is zoned out, boom, perfect. We have this guy in our line. We're using this vertical line to zone that guy out. Let me see, slight overpeak, but that is not like too bad. This is very high-end positional play. Here again, zoning at other people's out, we're forcing 1v1, hitting our shots, winning the trade-off easy. Trying to use that momentum. We could potentially have seen a little bit more optimization of that portal, right?
Yeah.
Like getting a bit more distance and a bit better position from it. It's like, you have to find that borderline of like dying as a Wraith. That is very important to get the full advantage of like, I want to take this aggressive position, because then you make so much space for your team. Because you can just queue out and take a portal back and heal back up. And if your teammate can see that and take the advantage out of that space that you're making, you're getting so much value out of basically doing nothing. You're doing a lot, but like damage-wise, you can basically do nothing and still do a lot. So right there we have, this is a head glitch, right?
Yep.
There's always, when you get into position, we need to categorize what cover we're playing. Are we playing this? Are we playing this? So here we have box cover. So in this form, we will, if we're gonna play this, we're gonna utilize the sides of it, which then it becomes a vertical. So then we can zone people out. If we're gonna use this, it's a horizontal, and therefore we should head glitch. And you choose to play the line, the horizontal, and we're not head glitching to the maximum degree here, because we're seeing everything in the ground in front of us. We need to have that step a bit further back and have that line going up right there, because then you can do whatever. Then you're so safe to take that free peek with a slow moving weapon right here. Oh. What you're doing as a mistake in the end here that shouldn't be happening at all is that you're allowing him to play Peeker's advantage. You know what Peeker's advantage is?
Well, I played CS, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know that when you're holding this angle and he comes out of it, he has a huge advantage, especially in BR games because the latency is so high. So he can see you so much earlier than you see him. So he gets that first massive shot for free. And that is mainly due to your... to his Peeker's advantage. Even if you hit the perfect shot there, you're still losing the fight. Anytime you're playing close range is on cover, you need to think of Peeker's advantage in this game. Do you feel like you misplay your portal?
So I feel like I sometimes overuse it. On this map, third party is obviously heavy, like third, fourth parties. So I usually portal out of a situation very well, but I feel like I sometimes portal out of a situation where I don't need to.
I think you need to have a bit better mindset on your portal as a team ability more than a solo, because that's how I see it. You use your portal very much as a solo ability, and you need to like, okay, we're putting this here, that helps my team. That is the thing. Even if it's you helping your team in terms of getting a different angle or whatever, or if it's you actually repositioning your whole team. You're overcommitting to this guy right here, right? We're using this. If we're gonna peek this, we need to put this cover here over here. So we shoot this guy, right? And then we zone out him and we zone out him. You're opening up a lot of space for a merchant here though. If he were to execute at the right time here, that will help you a ton. But you're taking too much damage. That's the thing. So you're out of the fight. Hoods is out of the fight and you're out of the fight. But he should have definitely tried to play that off angle on that door. And playing in here. I feel like your decision here of that's a really good initiate, but you have no HP to make this push, right?
Yeah.
That was a tap strafe around the corner, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Really nice, I like that.
It hit that as well.
Like your decision making in terms of healing or not healing before initiating here was the main downfall before initiating here.
I'm not even sure I did have heals. Yeah.
Yeah, you had.
Medkit.
Yeah, but we see that in your whole skill set. You're moving very effectively. You're super hard to hit. playing position at a pretty high level, but you throw so much, like your effectiveness is like super high, and then we make that push, and that puts you down here. Like that push is so bad to make that it just ruins your whole play. Like this almost doesn't matter anymore because we're having such a low drop on that overextended push right there. So yeah, it's actually very accurate in terms of what we see in what you said about this. I would very much agree on this. I'd say your strafe is probably better than you're saying. Your strafe is very effective. Even crouching, moving good distance left and right, inconsistent amount of like left and right movement. You're very hard to hit with your movement. It's very good. This is the one thing that you need to rethink in your whole setup. So yeah, if you can implement really solid team play into what you have right here, you have a super good entry to tournament play. You had so crazy improvements compared to the first session we had. Really good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
I'm being straightforward with you. If there's any problems, I call it out. I'm not like hiding anything just to make you feel good here. I'm calling out your mistakes. I'm telling you what you're doing good, what you're doing bad, and being straightforward. And definitely your super high skill is just small things that are holding you back.